Hey, then have you bought RNF also not?
Yeah, unfortunately, and I've declared I don't have anything in RNF.
Hi guys, welcome to today's show. If you are looking for insights on JB property, you're in for a treat today because we are going to have a debate. I'm largely going to be on the side of do not buy any properties overseas because that's my own personal stance. But I've invited a guest, an expert in the JB property front, Ryan. So before starting our debate, Ryan, curious also, you have license to sell both in Singapore and in JB?
Hi everyone, so my name is Ryan. I'm a Malaysian, but I'm a Singapore PR. So I've been based in Singapore since 2009. So I have a license in Singapore. I'm a licensed salesperson with ERA, and because of a PR. And then in Malaysia, because I am still a Malaysian citizen, so actually I still have a salesperson license in Malaysia also. So I'm one of those unique situation where you can have sales license on both sides of the border. But anyhow, lots of Singapore agents you can sell overseas property also. It's not to say that you can't.
So the
Singapore
bulk
agents
is
who sell
in
Singapore.
Malaysia or in Singapore?
I do both Singapore property as well as Malaysia property, but of course today Singapore property is kind of competitive, right? There's a lot of agents in Singapore, so I know that I'm quite well known for the JB portion of it, right? So a lot of people kind of find me with regards to JB Malaysia real estate. Yeah, so that's what I'm most known for. So my YouTube channel normally covers all these topics.
Before we dive on to debate, I mean,
Yeah,
congrats also on your YouTube channel. Looks very successful.
thank you.
I
Yeah,
think you've raised a lot of very good points, that Singaporeans, if they are looking for JB, I think it's a fantastic resource to point to. But
yes.
as I mentioned, knives on the table today.
Okay,
I'll be on the
yes.
side of, do not buy lah. So maybe to go into
Understand.
the first point of view, I've seen your channel, and the one that really stuck out to me was this title, RNF Princess Cove condo, selling well or sold
Mm,
out. I
Yep.
just thought it was an exaggeration. What's really going on that front for RNF Princess One, which is the one, right, a Causeway checkpoint, right?
Yeah, correct. So if you go across Woodlands today, right, you can see RNF quite obviously on the right when you're going to JB. There's a huge condo that you can see on the right. That is RNF Princess Cove. I'm sure everybody has gone to JB has probably seen it, right? It's by a Chinese developer, RNF Guangzhou. It's most famous because this is one of the few projects that you can actually walk to the future RTS station to Singapore. As most people know or may not know, right now we are building the MRT from Woodlands into JB, right? So this project you can actually walk. It's roughly a 650-meter walk,
You
maybe a
ever
bit
built
long.
a sheltered pathway there? What was
Sheltered,
the
yeah, the sheltered pathway is already built. It's actually been built for a few years now. So the sheltered pathway is not new. It's actually already there. Today, the existing residents in the phase one, they use this sheltered walkway to get to immigration. Today, the occupancy in this building, right? And I kid you not, I know some people will say I'm saying nonsense, right? But our occupancy is like 80, 90%, maybe even 100%, right?
that
If you
part I
want to
don't
be,
believe it. Because when I drove
yeah.
past Causeway very recently, it feels like only one block has clothes hanging. The other two blocks seems to be very quiet and they all face very weird angles. Like facing each other, very cramped out kind of feeling.
The phase two just recently only completed like last month. That one they're going through the key handover process now. So maybe some people confuse the phase two and the phase one. Of course, phase two you cannot see anybody because it's a new block, right? But the phase one, which is the blocks at the back, right? Yeah, easily 80-90% occupancy. I mean, everybody I brought there, I bring them to the facility floor. Look at all the laundry, right? I think occupancy is easily almost full. I think we dare to say it's almost full.
When was project completed? This RNF
2018.
one.
Phase one was 2018.
So 2018 complete built up,
Hmm.
then sold away phase one. Phase two only now still selling.
But we just recently completed in March.
That vacant looking block is also sold off already. That's what
More or
you're
less,
seeing
I
on the
think
ground.
phase two we have 10 blocks in total. We have sold we are in the ninth block now. So actually the developer sell block by block. They don't open everything one shot.
Hmm.
So
Eh,
in the phase two, we are in the block number 9 now. And block number 9, we are also almost fully sold. So we only have one block left actually. Out of 3,000, about 3,500 units.
3,005. Wow.
Yes, I know 3,005 sounds high. I mean, it is considered a high density project. I mean,
Uh,
but Singapore today also our densities are going up. KL density also going up.
I
I
mean, for
think.
context, Normanton Park is at 1,001 and
Yeah,
Tampines Treasure is like 2,000, something like that. I think
correct,
that's
correct. You
like
know
the
what? But
biggest.
correct, but Singapore traditionally we don't have like 1,000 over unit projects, right? This 1,000
Hmm.
over unit thing is also a fairly recent trend, right? Previously we don't have projects so many over 1,000 one, right? But now we got a lot. Singapore, I think got this easily 8. I think in Singapore now.
Phase one, they sold 1,005. Those blocks that's occupied is phase one.
Actually, it's, phase one also about another 3,000 units.
So it's
Yeah,
6,000 in total for that.
nearer to 7 actually. Nearer to 7. Yeah.
would there be crazy competition for tenant and resale or not? Any
Right
numbers
now,
they
and
can point?
I'll probably do another video about it one of these days, right? Demand is definitely more than supply today, lah, for sure. Like my own agent, we have a team of agents that do rental there, right? I think their on-hand stock is less than 10 units. I think inquiries we have easily more than 100. And this one again, I know when I say this, people say, "Wow, Ryan, you're talking nonsense." But then really, we have more than enough inquiry. It's just the process of filtering through inquiries. I know whether the tenant is ready, move in when, deposits ready, are their profile okay, not okay, filtering, right? But we definitely have a lot more inquiries than the available units right now. But of course, when phase two getting keys, because phase two is starting the key collection process now, I think we will of course expect some a lot of
Oversupply of
yeah, some supply will come in, and then we'll see how it goes. I think if we can maintain prices where they are today, I think we are very happy. In JB purposes, right? Anything which is near the immigration have the highest rental rates in JB right now. The reason being is because Singapore rents, as you know, are very high. A lot of people have rushed over because the price differential is very big, right? So that's one reason why people go back to JB to rent, especially after the border reopened in April 2022. Yeah, so when border reopened, right, all the Malaysians were stuck in COVID, right, in Singapore, right? Oh, I think now can go back, and there's an option to go back, right? And then they find that they are willing to sacrifice the time, right, to save money. And those people who buy, they have other confidence because the train is coming. And the reason why they choose RNF is because the train is there, right? You can walk to the train. In that sense, it's the safest buy, right? If you want to buy in JB, you buy near the MRT. And this MRT is not just any MRT, right? This MRT is the MRT that goes into Singapore. It's not a KL MRT or Penang MRT. This is an MRT that is effectively part of the Singapore MRT network. So for Singaporean perspective, this is the reason why they are confident to buy. And in terms of rental, our high occupancy today is pre MRT. So you can imagine when MRT is completed, right? Even more people will find it easier to come over, or the travel time will be reduced. So it makes a lot more sense to stay in JB with a reduced travel time.
I
So
have three questions to that front. Maybe let me pose
sure,
them to you. The first one is,
sure.
have people in phase one saw an appreciation versus phase two people, or is phase two selling cheaper price? Then the second
Hmm.
one is the buyer profile. I assume is mainly Singaporeans, or is there some mixture of Malaysian PR that don't mind commuting and betting on that transport network being able to let them work in Singapore while staying in JB? Then the third part also is in terms of tenant profile, is going to be Singaporeans or Malaysians? What do you see on the ground?
Okay, so RNF, right, is probably one of the outlier cases where prices have actually gone up. I know we always hear JB condo, 9 out of 10 people who talk about JB condo say JB condo lost price, right? RNF is probably one of the outliers where price actually went up. So phase two is selling higher than phase one. And so phase one people, they make money. So phase one, they probably bought on average maybe 900 per square foot ringgit. Now prices are hovering between 1,000 to 1,002. They on paper make a bit of money, not a lot. Actually, if we go into the whole property investment, worth your time, worth your money thing, probably not a lot of money lah. The per annum return is not
Because
high.
from 2018, what?
Yeah,
Now
yeah. So
four,
it's
5 years later.
correct. So they don't make a lot lah in that perspective. But again, in the whole JB condo perspective, right, where a lot of condo in JB don't make money, RNS is probably one of the few that so-called make money, right? They didn't
That
lose
means the
money.
rest even worse. What?
Correct. I know. I'm sure. And then they're right. I mean, of course, we are JB overall. There are a lot of condos that didn't make money over this past 10-year period. But RNS is probably one of the few that made money. Primarily, I think because of the location. The location is a clear positive, right, for this. Okay, so that's for the first question. Second question, for the buyer profile. Generally is 1/3 Singaporean, 1/3 Malaysian, maybe 1/3 of China, Hong Kong, Taiwan, the other foreign nationalities. Generally, this range. Yeah, Malaysian, we also have Malaysian buyer. Because you must understand Malaysian, we don't have ABSD. So for Malaysians, they can buy multiple property. This can be a second or third property, right? There's no ABSD concept in Malaysia, right? So some Johorian may have a main landed home, a second property investment, they buy RNF because they know this kind of places they want to bet on MRT thing, right? The other type Malaysian that buy is like what you said, PRs or work permit holder, they have earned Singapore dollar, or even Malaysians who have been in Singapore for a very long time. And then the third group, the foreigners, there are a lot of foreigners. Typically, they are investors. All the foreigners, the Chinese, Hong Konger, some of them are Malaysia, my second home buyers, come to Malaysia to retire. For Singaporean, typically it's retiree group.
Mm.
For Singapore, I dare to say out of 10 Singaporean buyers now, right? More than half are buying as a form of retirement holiday home
Oh, that
option.
means not my profile, 40 years old, 30 plus. They're still
Yeah,
buying
I think
their first house or second
yeah,
house in Singapore.
right. For Singaporean, if you
Mm.
ask me, right, if you are very young, like in your 20s, right, unlikely you will buy overseas because you still want to go
Mm.
through the BTO route. You don't get through all those things first, like MOP 5 years. Right. And then for Singaporeans in their 40s, 30s or 40s, typically you are still in the asset progression stage. Don't know whether you completed it or not. You might or might not have completed it.
Mm.
Your asset progression, wife one, husband one, private property, that scenario. So maybe they try to buy a second. So a lot of Singaporeans are still in that stage in their 30s or 40s. So typically when they're 50s or 60s, they cannot borrow money anyone. Right? Don't
Mm.
have intention to expand property portfolio further in Singapore. Right? And a lot of them is lifestyle purposes. They go to Malaysia often. Typically, these are elderly, normally speak a lot of Mandarin. Go JB very often one. They go JB like weekly. I met a car dealer last week. He told me go JB weekly. He's also in his 50s. A lot of property agents go JB very often. I met lots of people who's normally their hours are a bit flexible one, right? People in flexible hours, right? They can go JB on off-peak period.
Go
Then
there pump
they
petrol lah.
pump petrol, do a bit of grocery. There are a lot of people who go JB and they go JB often enough to the point that they feel comfortable to buy, right? They're not worried about scared or security. They go so often they don't even worry about security. So they don't ask the kind of questions. So these are the type of Singaporeans that buy. Investment Singaporeans who buy also have, but quite lesser amount compared to the retiree buyer profile. Yeah, retiree buyer profile a lot.
So the tenant profile and what's the tenant yield
Yeah,
in
so
terms of
tenant.
earning from
Yeah,
it?
the biggest group in RNF are Malaysians working in Singapore. That is for sure. Followed by the Singaporean slash Chinese, have lah. I mean, Singaporean would use it as a weekend home. Very
Mm.
common. Even Mr. Loo, the one that you interviewed last week, his
Mm.
friend also go and rent one house in JB for, I don't know, some kind of holiday home slash office. I don't know. They did a video. He went to his condo. He go and use the hall like a place to go and do like an idea board. So
Mm.
people will find their own reasons. Right. I saw another couple, not couple, two young Singaporean girls do YouTube one. They also rented one condo in JB as a production slash holiday home. They do a lot of YouTube, so they use it as a place to do things. I don't know. People will find their
Mm.
reasons for space. It's difficult to say sometimes what they want the space for. Yeah, but yeah, generally first big group is Malaysia working in Singapore. The rents are a lot cheaper, right? You can rent a studio apartment fully furnished for maybe 700 Singapore dollars. Yeah.
Okay. And the
Yeah.
price tag will be about 1 million ringgit.
A studio apartment right now in RNF is probably around Sing dollars is around 180 Sing, 180,000 Sing dollars
I thought we needed the 1 million minimum
to buy.
to buy. Is
Yeah,
it?
so the 1 million ringgit rule, right, for foreigners only apply for resale, actually.
Oh. Oh, so
Yes.
if I buy now, I can buy a 600,000 ringgit one
Mm.
as a foreigner.
From a
If it's
developer.
if it's from developer, no minimum 1 million.
Yeah, in a lot of cases for these projects which are so-called foreigner targeted projects, right, the developer got approval to sell below 1 million. Yeah.
Wow, I don't know if everybody listening. I
Yeah,
thought
yeah, yeah.
we all assume need 1 million.
Correct, correct. I
That's
know the 1 million rule, sometimes they never really clarify it properly, but actually it only really applies in resale scenario, right? From some developers, you can buy below 1 million. Normally they still have a minimum price, but their minimum price is the old one, which is 500,000. So you can buy 500,000 from RNF. Yeah, but with the cheapest also 600,000 ringgit. There's nothing lower than
so
500,000.
it's 180,000 Sing and I get a rental yield of $700. How much is that?
You get about 4% gross. We talk about gross, right? 4% plus plus.
4% plus plus.
Yep.
Is there maintenance charges? There's
Yeah,
a
yeah.
lot
If
there.
you if
I
you if
assume
you
it's
put
going to be very
correct.
expensive.
So if you put in maintenance charges, all that, you'll probably end up with a net nearer to three point something yield. I'm talking about rental yield.
So
Yeah.
1,200 in terms of maintenance charges, even though it's a
Yeah,
mega
around that.
project.
Plus property taxes and other miscellaneous fees, you probably end up $100 $100 costs. Yeah,
And
on
if
that.
I'm an
Yeah.
investor there and I get rental income there, do I need to pay Malaysian taxes?
As a non-resident, actually, you are subject to income tax. So the income tax for non-resident is 30% on your net income. So after expenses. So on your 3%, you get hit another 30% income tax.
If I make 8,000 per year Sing in
Yeah.
rental income, That's a bit optimistic. Maybe 7,000 Sing. And then
Yeah.
I have to pay 30% also as income tax.
Yeah. Net expenses, that means minus bank interest, property agent fee,
Oh,
similar to Singapore. I mean, the
but if
you
I
can
full pay, then I'll have to incur the full thing. Because
right. Yeah, if you got no bank loan, then you have to
what I hear around is that if you take a loan there, it's much more expensive. You might as well term loan out from Singapore private property and full pay down. I thought of,
yeah, that's possible. Yes.
but then
Yes.
I will be full tax for 30%.
Correct. Actually, if you ask me today, right, rental yield in JB or in KL in general, right, you are looking at
Mm.
this range 3-4%. It's not fantastic yield. I mean, in today's high interest rate environment, you might as well put your money go and buy a Singapore savings bond or something. You get a similar number. Why you want to go and buy a property? You know. Yeah, I know. Yeah, from that perspective, of course, I think buying JB for rental yield is it's not really the objective, right? It's just to show that your money is working, right? It's not garnering zero, right?
That means you are
But
ceding ground. Because now if I count, I get 3%. My
yeah,
appreciation is very minimal. I have risk of no tenant in. If I'm not staying there, then from an investment point of view,
sure.
I still can't
The
get past it.
the appreciation part, I think what happens is appreciation part is a lot of people who buy for investment, we are looking at the arbitrage between the Woodlands property price
Hmm.
and JB. We don't even compare rest of Singapore. I just use Woodlands as an example, right? And this is what I do in my videos, right? If you compare the Marina Bay, then people think not realistic, right? But okay, let's compare the Woodlands, right? So a Woodlands HDB resale is around 490 Sing dollars per square foot. That's about ringgit 1,008, right? So if I compare to a resale 4-room flat in Woodlands, right, it's 1,008 ringgit per square foot, whereas RNF is around 1,000 to 1,002. So I have about 600 ringgit to 800 ringgit gap, right? And I'm comparing not really apple to apple. I'm comparing flat to
But
flat
you're
to.
assuming the Woodlands one will stagnate and this one would catch up, ma,
I mean,
because of
like,
price gap.
yeah, and I'm assuming Woodlands was stagnant, right? I don't know. Woodlands may go up. I'm not sure, right? But I have a 600 to $800 gap, right? So based on 1,000 ringgit purchase, right? So I have a fairly large percentage of potential appreciation, right? Based on
Hmm.
this, only one MRT stop difference,
Hmm.
um,
I hear you.
yeah. So
Then to that point, are there any upcoming projects planned that are also going to be MRT walking distance? Because there'll be competitors, right, like that.
yeah, so in the short term, I think no. The problem with JBC Center is quite densely built, and Malaysia doesn't have en bloc law yet. So the
Oh.
en bloc law is on the way. So with en bloc law, maybe some of these old buildings will get torn down and rebuilt, right? But I think that will be a lengthy process. Although yes, people say, hey, this building is so old already near the train station, someone should rebuild. Yeah, that's logical. But whether they can get it done is another thing,
So
right?
from what you
So
see, no competition at least for next 3 years.
yeah, it's 3 years. I don't think so. I mean,
Hmm.
RNF itself has land for further phases, right? But the land is further away already. So you're talking about as near to the train station as possible. I think there's hardly any company. There's probably one, right? But we also don't know whether it will really come out at this stage. It's still very early discussion. Yeah, very
Then,
early
right, to your point, if Singaporeans buy from developer, we don't need that 1M rule. And now you
discussion.
say RNF is close to fully sold, which
Yep.
means if I want to buy now, most likely I need to go resale route and I'll get that 1 million ringgit minimum. What?
Yeah. If you buy resale, you have to buy minimum 1 million ringgit. Yeah. If you buy resale, if you choose to buy resale,
That,
uh,
no more
so that's
new
why
one.
so so that's why a lot of people still want to buy from developer, because from developer you can buy
Oh.
below. Yeah, if you don't want the quantum so high, right, then you go from developer, right. Furthermore, you buy from developer, you get things like warranty, the
Hmm.
defect liability period you still enjoy. Whereas resale, you do not enjoy all these things, right? So at this stage, well, phase two has 2 units, I think people will still try to buy phase two. Until
Mm-hmm.
phase two is like really, really nothing really enough to buy already. Then maybe we'll see the resale market pick up. As it is, also phase one can got buyers. There are people who still buy phase one today.
That means
Uh
resale what?
yeah, resale, yes.
Then I'm
Yes.
worried also if I buy this 600,000, I must exit at 1M ringgit to a
Assuming
foreigner. Ma.
assuming you're selling to a foreigner. If you sell to a Malaysian, then Malaysian don't have this apply, this rule don't apply.
But then we'll guess that there's the is 1/3 only what? My
Yeah,
target market, one
correct.
third is
From the
Malaysian,
two,
1/3 Singaporean, 1/3 the rest.
eh,
That's what I hear. Which
understand.
means I'm only banking on 1/3. And I have 7,000 competitor.
In that sense, if you really want to target foreigner, you probably buy something in the 800,000, 900,000 range.
Ah.
Yeah, then you feel safer that you hit the 1 million number to sell, right? For foreigners to buy.
Oh.
Yeah, that's also one way to look at it. It's not
I
wrong.
don't know. Are there clients that think like that, or
Yeah, have,
that
definitely for
doesn't
sure.
make sense? Because the exit now, we need to think about exit for property, right?
Sure, sure, for sure. Sure, but I mean, there's an alternative thinking, right? Which is like people who buy for holiday home, right? Like a lot of retirees,
Mm.
right? Oh, holiday home, I go weekend only. My children, my whole family not gonna follow me all the time, right? So I buy one bedder, maximum two bedder. I don't need so big unit, right? Because how many times are we going to use the space all the time, right? So they buy small, and then they don't really think about exit. They really their questions that they ask is more about how do I pass this to my children, right?
Ah,
Yeah.
okay. So
So
is this 99 or is this a freehold?
freehold, freehold,
Freehold. And then in
freehold.
terms of transferring of deed, I'm also curious how the ownership
Ah,
wise, if I pass away, my children
yeah. So
need
the
to do a
best
will,
way
right?
is yeah, the best way to put the will lah. You put in your Singapore will, right? Your lawyers will handle it. Like your Singapore lawyers will at the inheritance portion, they will handle it like any other asset lah. Although this asset's overseas, but they can still do it lah.
Mm.
Right? It's probably a slightly longer process, but you just put in your will lah. No need to don't do an active transfer lah. Because you have to pay stamp duties. When,
Mm.
yeah, just put in the will and then you just pass it on to someone through your will. That's it. You save money that way also actually, rather than doing an active transfer. Yeah, so these are the actually we get this kind of questions more often from the retirees. They don't really think about selling at this stage. Yeah, freehold so they don't really worry about this also.
Maybe to the point of, Malaysians are one third of the buyer market. I've
Mm.
also seen reports that Malaysians typically prefer landed properties than condos. Unlike in
Yeah,
Singapore, Singapore's like high rise, Malaysians prefer landed. What are popular landed projects that we can compare against RNF? Good appreciation at least.
yeah, I mean,
In
I
fact.
think this landed over condo thing is, I think it's general. Even in Singapore, if you can stay landed, you want to stay landed one. I think most people will say that. It's just cannot afford it. So in Malaysian case, it's the same. If even in KL or Penang, right? If you can stay landed, you want to stay landed. But in KL or Penang, I think one thing that has happened is the urbanization is very heavy. So like in KL, right? You want to stay landed, you either very expensive
Hmm.
or very far away to get affordable one because the traffic is very bad in KL. And Penang is an island, so Penang also had the same problem. There's only that much land on the island to play with. In Johor, this problem is less pronounced because Johor still got still quite a lot of pockets of land available. So people still try to buy landed. But I think as urbanization happens, people will have to say, traveling from one end to one end getting taking very long. Like if you buy Austin today, Austin is
Hmm.
a very popular place, right? Austin to town can be 45 minutes,
Hmm.
over 1 hour on the back traffic, right?
Or
So
Horizon Hill, or the
yeah,
typical
Horizon Hills maybe half an
clusters.
hour to town. Bad traffic probably 45 minutes. Yeah, so it's driving. I'm talking about driving. But today, I think if you ask me, the most popular landed precincts is anything by Eco Eco Botanics, Eco
Oh, I
Spring,
think I've
Eco.
been there.
Yeah, a
Eco
lot of people
Botanic.
like the Eco World aesthetic today. The black and white, a bit black and white house. Not really exactly black and white, but it's black and white house style. A lot of people love it.
Eco
Very
Botanic is
popular.
the one near Second Link, right?
Yeah, correct.
That has some clusters of shops and
Yes, Cove Botanic is a very nice estate, suburb.
near Legoland,
Yeah,
correct?
not far from the Lakeland, correct.
Ah.
There's actually a sister development on the Austin side, nearer to Austin, Eco Summer, Eco Spring, also similar aesthetic, also very popular.
So if you were to market, I mean, aside from a customer client preference, would you
Sure.
prefer the RNF one where there's an MRT line, or would you prefer a landed one?
Yeah, it's when I was younger, like maybe 10 years ago, right? I always say yeah, buy landed, right? Landed more space per square foot, you get a lot more space. Living environment is nicer, right? Then as I get older and I meet a lot of these retirees, I get where they're coming from, because already you don't want a big house to take care.
Hmm.
Maintenance is a problem, right? Then they don't want to come to JB to clean house. You know what I mean? Then they say, ah, yeah, then you say can always hire a cleaner. Yes, say only, right? The cleaner is not at your back and call, right? You can say a cleaner,
Hmm.
you come down, the cleaner will not come in 10 minutes notice, right? So it's the appointment need to be made, this kind of thing. You
Hmm.
can arrive at night, then your house not clean, the cleaner only come tomorrow, you can wait another. So you so these are older people, they don't want I find a lot of them don't want the big size. They prefer a smaller, manageable space nearer to conveniences because they may not drive
Hmm.
and easy public transportation, they may not drive. So I'm starting to understand where they're coming from and thinking I mean also in my 40s, right? I think in my 50s, yeah, landed house, if my children don't follow me, then how? Then the house so big, like in COVID, right? I was in
Hmm.
Malaysia during COVID. My family was in Singapore. I was in my Horizon Hills house. I effectively only use the bedroom and the dining. I open my laptop, work on my dining table. I don't really cook that time. I cook a bit, then go to sleep. All my bedrooms are empty. My living room also empty, no gas. so so there's like, do I need a house this big? And actually, when I show a lot of Singaporeans landed property, right, and I tell them these issues and they think about it, then they think twice. Like, yeah, really? Yeah, who's gonna take care of this house? Sounds good on paper, but effectively, if you don't stay there full time, right, it can become more of a chore than a place to enjoy. Now, Malaysians will typically sell you say buy landed house because they stay there full time. Like the Johor people, I'm going to stay there full time. My whole family, my wife, maybe my parents, right? So for them, a landed house makes a lot of sense, right? But if you are a holiday homeowner, weekend home, investment home, right? You buy a landed and you don't really stay there, then the house require more maintenance than you think. So that's what I'm trying to warn people, right? I know it sounds good. Oh, Singapore cannot buy landed, so expensive. I can buy landed JB. Oh, this house landed so nice. Eco Botanic, wow, so nice, so cheap, so nice, like Mr. Loo that they buy. And then okay, I mean, I just tell them you must know what you're getting yourself into, right? In terms of ownership of the landed property, right? Renovation cost is higher,
Maybe
right?
to this point, let's discuss how do you rate Mr. Loo's purchase? Because I did that collaboration with him. How do you rate his purchase of Austin, which is around 2M ringgit?
Yeah.
Personally, no right, no wrong. How do you rate
Uh,
it?
Austin Heights is one thing good about Mr. Loo's purchase is that his particular taman, right, his garden, right, is actually not
Mm.
very far away from a commercial zone. I think in theory he can walk or bicycle there also can. I don't know whether he does lah, but so he can walk or bicycle to a fairly active commercial hub, which is why it's somewhat popular area lah. Typically a landed might not have this kind of characteristics so near a
Mm.
commercial zone. So his one, yes. I think that's the plus point of the location. Austin Heights is a very popular place. I mean, if you want to buy there, you buy there. I mean, I only don't know whether Mr. Loo, because he travels so much of Europe, right? I don't know who take care of the house. Maybe he
I
got
think he's
relative.
saying he'll stay more there and go less to Europe. At least that's what I
He
gather.
said he got relative, so maybe his relative helped
Mm.
him take care. I don't know. But I find a house of that size, only him and maybe the daughter. I don't know how they take care of the house
Mm.
regularly, since he travels so much, right? So, uh, but yeah, the price is around there for Austin Heights, the semi-Ds, high one nearer to two.
Because his point of view is I buy this as a retirement home. I
Yeah,
don't intend to make money. I think that's his main message. If
sure.
there's no appreciation, no problem. I'm at peace with it.
But what I tell people, I mean, I know a lot of people say, you buy the JB property, don't hope to make money. But don't, I mean, I will tell them the value will not drop to zero lah. I mean, the house will always
Mm.
have some value, right? It will not be zero lah. I mean, that's the other thing I tell people. What property is still property lah. There will always be a value behind it, right? So it's just the value high or low over the time, right?
But if
Yeah,
the value don't go up and maintenance costs starts to kick in, the place gets old, you don't go there too
sure,
often, cleaning and upkeeping the place is going to be costly. Are
sure.
these valid concerns for
Correct.
big
So
retirement home?
that's the other thing with landed also, right? I mean, if your children inherit the property and they may feel that it's more of a chore to manage, right? Then landed property have this concern. The maintenance is a big problem. I think in Singapore also we see the same, right? Some second generation inherit the old house, then they
Mm.
don't want to take care. Yeah, so it's a similar issue for that. Whereas a condo is a lot more manageable, right? In terms of maintenance, right? Yeah, so there's this pros and cons. I mean, people have to think through. That's why I tell people, the first thing you decide is what's your objective first before you buy,
Okay.
right? Yeah, then we have some people retiree, right? They want to retire in Malaysia, right? But then they don't even need to buy. I tell them if you want to rent, just rent. Some people financially still have issue. Then you rent, don't buy. I mean, no one, you don't really have to buy, right? It's not really a necessity to
I
buy.
don't know whether you can long-term lease in Austin, or maybe it can also lah. Like
Can.
he wanted to renovate to his liking, and I hear that he has relatives there.
Sure,
So it
because
becomes like a community.
correct, because I've also met people in Singapore, right? I mean, if I tell them rent, right, then they say, yeah, this house, I'm going to stay for,
Mm.
few years. They feel that rent not nice. They want to own, the property, right? And then they worry landlord may one day take back house, this kind of thing. That I say, all hypothetical, difficult to say. But they want to own. They feel ownership is
Mm.
better. They don't like the idea of paying rent. So sometimes people then buy law. I mean, if you think like that, then buy law. I
But
mean,
you wouldn't recommend he buy at Eco Garden, another
you go
landed,
over there. I
because
think
that's
he
away
went.
from his relatives, or you wouldn't recommend he buy a penthouse in RNF.
I always tell people you stay where you want to stay. I mean, even RNF or Eco Botanic, right? There's no right or wrong. There are people who like either lifestyle. I mean, there's no right or wrong answer for this, right? It's you like then you like here, lor. You like busy in the city with all the entertainment and all the convenience and go Singapore easy, then you buy city. Like if you feel busy, city is too busy, then you go suburb, lor. It's like a similar Western concept, right? Some people may have a home in the city and a family, children all throw into the suburb. Right? That kind of a similar concept, right? Not very different from that. So you choose where you want, right? If you want to stay, you decide where you want to stay. For investment right now, I like to talk about RNF purely because of the train.
Mm.
It's a concept that people can understand easily, right? I feel that the gap to Woodlands is still very large, right? I haven't even compared to condo
Mm.
prices, right? CDL is launching a condo in Woodlands South later this year. Their land price alone is 900 Sing dollars already.
Okay. Later this year, also they acquired that land.
Correct. It's not
Pretty.
very far from the Woodlands South MRT. So CDL bought it for 900 Sing. They'll probably launch nearer to 2,000 Sing dollars per
Mm.
square foot. And this condo is only 3 stops away from JB. One, two,
Mm.
three. 3 stops is JB. Yeah. So if this condo is 2,000 per square foot Sing, Malaysia 1,000 ringgit, 3 MRT
Okay.
away. It's a bit of a. I mean, I tell you, the gap is too wide, lah. I mean, it's just too wide. It cannot be. There must be some kind of what they call narrowing, right? And
I I
Singapore,
I'm still a bit skeptical that it will narrow because ultimately, there's different risks, ma. In terms of Singapore, we know the title deed transfer is different.
sure,
The convenience part, yeah, it's just a little bit more, lah. But at the end of the day, it's an asset base
sure.
in a different place.
Definitely, Malaysia will not catch up to Singapore price. I mean, that will not happen, right? But the gap is too big. I just find that there's a very big arbitrage opportunity. And people say, Ryan, but you've been saying this for so many years, it hasn't happened yet. Yeah, because for so many years, our train connection has never been fulfilled, right? So it's only recently that the train connection finally being built and being realized, right?
Mm.
And we can actually benefit from it. Like, otherwise, all theory only. So,
Mm.
so until it's built, then you cannot see. So you build, then you will see. So my opinion is JB prices will continue to rise all the way until after train completion, which is in end of 2026, another 2 years
Mm.
plus from now. The gap will narrow, that's my opinion, right? I'm sure. Singapore will
Anyone
not go down,
listening
then
in,
Malaysia will have to go up,
uh,
yeah.
if you have comments or if you disagree with me also, leave them in the comment section. We'll try to pick it up.
Yeah,
And Brian, before I let you go, maybe as a last question,
sure.
besides RNF, what would be your next pick? Because when we do due diligence, we should always compare this versus something else. I know you like RNF a lot. Is there
Yep.
another project that an astute investor should look at first before they commit to RNF?
So right now the one thing that people may concern about now is the RTS story is already fairly well known. Actually, people have been paying attention to JB property the past 1 2 years. I think RTS is a fairly well known story. I think if you
RTS, how to spell that?
RTS the train
RTS, okay. The RTS story, okay.
sorry. I mean, and the alternative that people, if they don't buy JBC Center, they try and buy like 10-minute drive away, 15-minute drive away. Then they say, oh, I'm a 10-minute drive to RTS, 15-minute drive to RTS. I don't really like that. Actually, I think that's a little bit
But if the price gap is very big,
yeah,
then
the price it does drop, so it's cheaper. If instead of 15-minute walk to RTS, you have a 15-minute drive to RTS, the price does drop. But I also feel the supply can correspondingly go up a lot. Because when you say 15-minute drive, then you open up a much wider
oh.
area. A lot of places can be 15-minute drive to
Mm.
the city. So then I think supply is more than I don't really want to touch that round. Actually, to me, the next best place to consider buying actually is where prices are still cheap. Is actually Iskandar Putri side. Places like Putri Harbour, maybe even Medini, where because of to me the highly likely return of the high speed rail. The high speed
That
rail.
one.
Yeah, high speed rail. I mean, I know in Singapore there's not really a lot of news on this yet, but actually in
Mm.
Malaysia side, this discussions are quite advanced. And Singapore will probably get some kind of proposal from the government later, from the Malaysian government sometime later this year. And I don't see Singapore saying no because Singapore wants a train also, and the land in Jurong East is still there. So if that train comes back, then I think the whole west side of JB will see a revival. I know it's still a little bit speculative, but I mean, if you're
Mm.
an investor and you want to have a bit more meat on the make
What is
on
the best project there? We name drop.
I mean there are lender options. Some haven't launched yet. Actually later this year. if you can still buy landed, I think it's good to buy because you new launch, so you wait 2-3 years, you don't have to worry about the occupation part for the time being, right? Yeah.
No
So,
built
but
up one that really you would earmark as a very good alternative
I like
for
Putri
investment.
Harbour. I mean, I like Tiga Residences. I like even Southern Marina or Putri
Tiga
Harbour.
residences.
These are popular spots. I think quite well occupied today. Also, a lot of expatriates, Singaporeans. Low density, not like RNF. There's a ferry terminal there that will may or may not go to Singapore yet, but but yeah, these are quite what they call more mature areas where people already stay one, right? You can try to buy resale. Prices are still fairly affordable, right? Haven't go up yet. Haven't really go up prices yet. So
I
these
think the
are
reason I brought up this because before you commit to anything, you should always think of the other alternative. So you
correct.
have no regrets. Or this RTS story, do you believe it? Or this premium, you must make sure you're okay. Because just in case Tiga residences is 200-300 ringgit cheaper, then it might have a
Cheaper.
different proposition. Right?
So actually, even like myself, I own property in some of these places in the west, right? It's Gana Putri, right? And I'm not near the RTS, right? I'm very far away. I'm half an hour away. But to me, it's okay like half an hour. Then bo pian take a grab, go to from my place, go to RTS, take the train to Singapore. I think that's still not a bad option lah.
Hey, then have you bought RNF also not?
I unfortunately, and I've declared this many times, I don't have anything in RNF. My personal issue is because I'm quite heavily geared. I don't know.
Oh, okay,
Heavily
okay.
geared, yeah. I'm in the process of consolidating, right? I'm quite heavily geared. I'm quite heavily geared. So I can't take any loan actually at this stage unless I sell something which I'm trying to sell. Which I own quite a variety of property in JB lah. I probably my timing was a bit off. I went in a bit too early, I guess, over bet too early those years.
I
So I'm
understand.
holding, yeah. So I'm
In
holding
terms of
on.
loan rates, maybe super last question.
Yeah.
In terms of loan rates, we're looking around 3%, like in Singapore, or
Mortgage is around four plus,
4
4 to 5.
plus.
Yes.
Okay. And we'll typically deal with UOB in
A
Malaysia.
Malaysian bank in Malaysia. It can be UOB Malaysia or OCBC Malaysia, but it'll be a bank in Malaysia. You can
Typically,
borrow up,
Singaporeans, tie up with OCBC and UOB in Malaysia.
not necessarily.
Not necessarily. Okay.
Necessarily. Yeah, I mean, there's Maybank, there's CIMB, there's Public Bank, lots of banks in Malaysia. I think we have 10 plus banks to
So
choose
let
from.
the property agent suggest what are the packages or consult a
Yeah.
mortgage broker over there.
Yeah, I thought the mortgage broker see which one you can get the best that you're happiest with. But typically 4% plus, you can borrow up to age 65. Like Singapore, not very different. Some banks up to age 70. Otherwise, the loans are pretty much the same process as Singapore.
Loan to valuation 75%.
70 to be safe.
70. Okay.
Some cases maybe you get higher, but 70 to be safe. Yeah.
Understand. Thank you so much, Ryan. I mean, hopefully everybody listening in have some thinking points. But I'm always curious about JB also.
Sure, I hope that was useful. I mean, some information that people may not have heard before, right?
Especially part where if we buy from developer, we don't need 1M.
Yes, I know it appears everywhere this 1M thing, but actually, if you buy from developer, don't have one. In fact, if you buy from Medini, there's an area in JB called Medini. There's no 1M loading. You can buy at any price actually. Even
resale also.
Resale also.
Oh, it's a special zone.
Yes.
Yes.
Medini is a special zone, which is near Legoland. You can buy, if you can find someone willing to sell you for 300,000, you can buy. Actually, we just sold to a Singaporean, a retiree guy. We sold him a studio for just over 300,000 ringgit, not even $100,000.
Oh yeah, that is easy money for a wealthy retiree lah.
Yeah, he buy for fun he go JB fairly often. Then so he want a place to stay longer right. So yeah, he bought. Not even 100,000. It's cheaper than the COE actually. We like to joke.
Understand. You're valid on that point. Thank you, Ryan, so much. And as always, smash a like, smash subscribe, and together we'll see you next one.